This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Green Flash Glass. The Green Flash Glass logo is a symbol of quality because they take pride in their craftsmanship and stand behind their products. Made in the USA, Green Flash Glass builds relationships based on trust, integrity, and respect. With over 15 years of experience and an amazing team of artists, Green Flash Glass backs up their work with 100% quality guarantee, friendly responsive customer service, and high-quality products at an affordable price. For more info, go to greenflashglass.com. That's greenflashglass.com. I am in the middle of listening to my free audiobook I downloaded at audibletrial.com/WiseGuyRadio, and that's WYZGUI radio. The reason I'm saying this is because if you want to be a part of our book club that we're doing, which is our audio book club, why not go to and download your free 30-day trial at audibletrial.com, where they have over 180,000 plus publications, magazines, books, all kind of good stuff. And figure since you guys are listening to this podcast, you obviously listen to downloadable audio on your phones or iPads or computers. Go to audibletrial.com, audibletrial.com/WiseGuyRadio, audibletrial.com/WiseGuyRadio. And that's audibletrial.com/WYZGUIRadio.com. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 52. This is Jay Michael, your host, and thank you so much for tuning in today. I am here to bring you some inspirational tips and tricks from myself and the world around us, including glass artists and authors and business owners and politicians and, okay, maybe not politicians, but you know what I'm saying. I'm here to help you, help me, help you. So thank you so much again for tuning in. Today's episode, I am going to be covering basically one specific chapter in the first 7 chapters of the audiobook we are going over in this round of the Audio Book Club, which is the Tim Ferriss book called The 4-Hour Workweek. This particular part I'm going to be going over is conquering fear and why fear really is debilitating and why it's not necessarily something that we have to deal with because fear is just something that is in our head. So we'll get into that. I also want to, as always, thank my sponsor, Green Flash Glass. They are on board. They are awesome and an amazing group of people out of Tallahassee, Florida, creating a high-end, high-quality product, water pipe, and functional glass. You can contact them at greenflashglass.com and give them a heads up. If you're a collector, connoisseur, looking for someone in your area as a retailer to pick it up, definitely let your local shops know to go to greenflashglass.com, and they can place their orders there, and that way that you can get some glass in your local smoke shop as well as something that your friends can also pick up too. So I definitely recommend that. So what else is going on? We got Champs coming up here in the second weekend of November. We are right now, I'm recording this on the same day I'm releasing it, which is here on October 30th, the eve before Halloween, All Hallows Eve, I guess it is. And looking forward to tomorrow night's Halloween. It's going to be a lot of fun, one of my favorite holidays. We're having a little get-together here at my house with some friends and family, and we're dressing up. My wife and I this year are going to be Raggedy Ann and Andy, which is interesting. Something that my mother has always loved, character-wise. She's something my mother and my sister both are redheads with the Irish in my family. And so my mom, growing up as a child, was always given those dolls for gifts and what have you. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun, a little nostalgic thing this year. Usually I'm something dead and bloody and gory, especially when I take my little kids out to trick-or-treat, and they're all cute and adorable, and I'm the zombie pushing them down the street when they're little babies. So, again, today is all about conquering fear. This particular area of the book, which is near the end of chapter 7. And again, this first part is 1 through 7. The first part of the book, really, Tim gets into his background, why he feels he needed to write this book, and why he feels that you and myself included, and the audience in general, should read this book and how it will change your life. And, when we look at life in general, there's a lot of things that we can deal with and hurdles we come up with and what have you. And it's how we handle those particular hurdles and those fears that we have, which determines on how our lives come out. And if we succumb to the fears, then all we are is just a bag of bones living in fear. If we conquer the fears, then we are superheroes and we grow as humans, and our spirit grows as well, which then increases our potential in life with confidence and kicking fear in the teeth. So, again, this segment of the book we are going to cover is basically towards the end of chapter 7. And, so here we go. We are now back with our Wise Guy Radio audio book club, and we are covering the Tim Ferriss book called The 4-Hour Workweek. And I have a couple quotes here I want to read first, and then I'm going to get into the thing here. Last time I talked about this on the show, I discussed some questions that were asked. A lot of the stuff in the book, he does have things that he wants you to take action and do. And so in this first part, again, of the book, which is chapter 7, well, really the first 7 chapters, but chapter 7 in particular is what I'm going to be covering right now. And there's 6 questions that he asked. The 6 questions are: define your nightmare. What is the worst possible situation that would happen if you did what you were considering to do? Number 2 is: what steps would you take to temporarily repair the stress? Number 3 is: what are the outcomes of the positive probable impact on your life? Number 4 is: if you were fired today, what would you do? Number 5 is: what am I putting out, or what am I putting off out of fear? And number 6 is: what is this costing me to postpone action both financially and emotionally? And, again, a part of the show is myself growing and learning as I share my thoughts with you guys, and as I, you guys grow and learn along with me. And I would like you guys to follow along with this because, again, this is really important information that we all need to kind of take to heart and consider that if you want to be the best potential person that you are and fulfill not just being, a jack of all trades and what have you, but really mastering yourself and life, and then getting a focus and really taking steps of action to follow through on that focus to then become successful. And it's not even successful financially, it's successful in life with family and friends and financial freedom and the idea of designing your lifestyle, which is what this book is all about. It's all about how can we design our lifestyle. And there's lots of tips and tricks and hacks that he has in this book, but really the meat and potatoes of this book are the questions that he has for you to ask yourself, to really deep down inside of you, dig all that shit out and unpack your emotional side and really take care of it. And if you can take care of these emotional impacts that you have, it really will change your life. And honestly, just kind of give you guys a kind of where I'm at, and one of the reasons that the show in particular hasn't been as consistent as I wanted it to be is because of the past 3 months. As you guys all know through listening to the show, I recently opened up a studio with a couple friends of mine, and through the 3 months of running the studio and all of us trying to get on the same page and figure shit out, on top of doing that and full-time family, and then my gig over at Disney, which is not a full-time gig. It's actually very part-time, if only maybe a couple days a week here and there. But the schedule over at Disney is what has become the part of the puzzle that I have found is what is causing my overwhelming sensation of stress and anxiety. And when I myself personally become completely overwhelmed, I tend to shut down. And then I beat myself up because I'm shutting down. And then those around me who I am close to and interacting with, whether it's my wife or my shopmates or my kids or whatever, things start to go to shit. and then things start going to shit, and then I beat myself up even more, and then they get even shittier, and then I shut down even more so. I mean, it's like this vicious cycle. And talking with my brother and my wife and my family, really trying to, myself personally, kind of dig deep down into side of myself and look at patterns I've had in my life and why they come to be. And it all came down to really the fact that whatever it is that's been bothering me most of my life, I would say, is just this kind of, I don't know if you how to say it really in terms of, but it just kind of the nitty-gritty of it is just real basic thing is insecurity that I have. I'm a very confident person in myself, and as a father and as a husband, as an artist, as a business owner, but the insecurities that I have then turn into fear, which then turns into me beating myself up, which then turns into me shutting down, which then creates anxiety and stress, and all that shit. So it's kind of cool that this book, that I chose to do this now, is really good timing for me personally in my life, and hopefully for you guys as well. And as I'm reading this stuff and unpacking my shit with my family and my kids and my wife and what have you, this all really kind of came together. And again, the root of all my issues I'm having really comes down to me working over at Disney. As much as I love the job there, it's a childhood dream come true. My day that I work there really is a 15-hour day. That includes a 3-hour round trip commute to the job and then 12-hour shift that I do. And sometimes I do that 2 days in a row or whatever. And because of that, 30 hours in a row, if I'm home and in my own studio, not a big deal. But when I'm driving and commuting and missing out on family time and missing out on opportunities at the studio, I've got customers that are waiting on orders, all that stuff. It sucks. So what I'm going to do is cut Disney out. It's unfortunate. It's what I have to do. But by going through these questions that I went through in this book, which I'm going to share with you guys here in a second, help me realize that that's what I have to do. So as you go through these questions, think about what it is in your life that's in your way. What is it that you need to cut out? What friends do you have that really aren't friends, that are more or less energy vampires, in a sense, that are kind of in your way? It's that whole circle of 5. Think about the 5 people that you hang out with the most, and they're like, more or less your major influencers that you have for yourself. So think about that kind of stuff, as you're going through these questions yourself. And I would love, again, for you guys to share your stories with me, even if it's just a one-on-one through email, stuff that I will not share with anybody else. But again, this show is for me to communicate with you all and then for you to then communicate with me. So please, as we go through these questions, I'm going to post these questions on the newsletter that's going to go out on Monday. And I would love a response. So definitely check that out. So, so here we go. So again, I started this off with some quotes. The first quote is from Tim Ferriss, and his kind of simple quote is, "Life is a cruel, hard bitch." And as we all know, life can be a kick in the fucking nuts. So this one is from Seneca, and I'll read about Seneca here in a second. But his quote is, "Conquering fear equals defining fear. Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" And basically what he's saying is, if you put yourself into a situation where you have no money, you're on the street, you're in a shitty situation, is it really the worst thing that could possibly be in your life? And in all reality, it's not. Obviously, if it's a permanent thing, then sure. But as he says here, just set aside a couple of days and put yourself in that experience and experience it and really tell yourself, is this the worst possible outcome I could actually go through? Stoicism is a philosophy out there, which I'm starting to get into myself and read some books and stuff. But I hear a lot of the entrepreneurs that I pay attention to that are very into Seneca and his philosophies. But this is Seneca was a philosopher, writer, orator, and statesman. He lived from 4 BC to 65 AD and was Rome's leading intellectual during the middle of the 1st century AD. Brought back from exile, he and his friends would virtually rule Rome in the first years of Nero's reign. The second son of a wealthy family, Seneca was educated in the philosophy of the sexti. This was heavily influenced by Stoicism, whose followers believed that virtue is based on knowledge and that the ups and downs of everyday life should be accepted calmly. Which makes total sense. So that being said, so here we go, guys. So here's the 6 questions that we have, and I just went over the questions. And the first question is to define your nightmare. What is the worst possible situation that would happen if I did what I was considering? And what I'm considering is walking away from Disney. And what I wrote down was, by walking away, I would lose a consistent paycheck, which helps to make sure my child support is paid. Plus, I would lose the perks that I have that grants us entrance into the parks and great discounts on resorts, food, and merchandise. On a scale of 1 to 10, this would be a 7. And it's not the perks part; it's the actual the consistent paycheck that I have that guarantees that I'm paying my child support. So I wrote, self-employment isn't a guaranteed income, and I could fall behind on payments, have my license suspended, and get thrown in jail for contempt of court. My kids would then be severely disappointed that I'm a deadbeat dad. And thinking about all that kind of shit, those potential things that would happen from not having a paycheck that's helping pay my child support as I grow my business and turn my profits back into the business. So those are kind of my fears that I have. Number 2, what is the steps that I would take to temporarily repair the stress? Well, the steps I would take is I would increase productivity and establish a weekly payment plan to make sure I can still pay the child support, even if it's not a full payment, but something is better than nothing. The worst case scenario is I would go get a job at Subway, which I worked at for 7 years before I started blowing glass. Since I had that skill set, it would temporarily hold me over while getting the business reestablished. So kind of a thing that I had there. Number 3 is, what are the outcomes of the positive/probable impact? For me, it says I would have a time freed up that would give me the energy and time to focus on the current business and increase productivity. The probable positive impact would be more time home with my family and less time on the road, which would decrease the stress of a 3-hour commute and the danger of driving that distance regularly, and that's hard to say. So basically, the positive and probable impact that I would have by walking away from Disney is I would have more time with my family, I would have more time in the studio to increase my productivity, and then also I wouldn't be on the road so much, so the stress of that 3-hour commute, where I've seen dozens of car accidents go down right in front of me while you've got 3 lanes of cars going 85 miles an hour, it's kind of scary at times. So that right there alone would relieve a lot of stress. Number 4 is, if I was fired today, what would I do? And I just referred back to answer 2, which again was I would just increase my productivity for my studio and then establish a weekly payment plan that, again, pay my child support and stuff. Or go get a job at Subway if I have to, worst case. Number 5 is, what am I putting off out of fear? So for me personally, as I grow my business, my main things that I've been putting off is, it's not always a easy thing to call new contacts and new customers. So I have a slight fear of calling retail stores for new orders. It's kind of silly. As long as I've been doing this for almost 17 years now, I still get a little anxious when I even go to new accounts for the first time. Even though the order's been established, payment's been established, what they want has been established, I still have a little bit of butterflies, if you want to call it. It's almost like stage performance anxiety kind of thing. It's interesting. But that's kind of the fear that I have still right now. But also contacting the bigger companies out there that would potentially help sponsor my podcast. So those are kind of the things I'm dealing with. So part of the action I'm going to take for that is make a list of shops that I want to get myself into, some of the higher shops, the gallery-style smoke shops, and just make some calls and see what happens. It's being told no sucks, but sometimes being told no leads you closer to that one yes that's going to make the big difference. I'm going to start making some phone calls, contact the big companies out there, and see about getting them on the show as sponsors. And then number 6 of this questions is, what is this costing me to postpone action both financially and emotionally? And I wrote that it's costing me my time and financial freedom, causing an overwhelming sensation of being out of control and unorganized, emotionally causing stress and anxiety due to being at a job, creating art for another company instead of focusing that energy on myself and my family. So because I am, making this 3-hour round-trip drive, sometimes I'm gone for 2 days in a row, sometimes 3, and even though I do make the commute back and forth, I say I'm gone for those times because by the time I get home, everybody's in bed, and by the time I'm actually getting up, going to work, everybody's already up and gone to school and work. So it's not a fun time always. Now, when I first got hired, I was single. Initially, I was actually going to move out there and get a condo for myself and just focus on being employed out there. But when it came down to it, I met my wife. Life kind of has a fun way of putting things into perspective. And, I wouldn't change that for the world. So, again, there's 6 questions. They're towards the end of the audiobook version, which is Chapter 7. And if you guys listen to 1 through 7 of this audiobook, you really get a good insight into Tim Ferriss, his background, his recommendations, his reasons why he feels he's qualified for doing this book, and obviously he is, with as successful as his book has been, and then also with his success himself personally, and also the hundreds, if not thousands, of new companies that have started based on the philosophy that Tim Ferriss preaches about having the ability to conquer fear, living the dreams you want to live, and how to do that, but also to design the lifestyle that you want to live. And again, there's all these books that I'm going to be putting out there for everybody and recommending to you all are kind of in a step process. It's like if you're going to be a glass artist, you got to crawl before you walk. You want to get a small torch, you want to get some solid glass, and just start making balls of glass. And that's what our first book was. Now we got the second book, which is the 4-Hour Work Week, which now we are in the process of blowing glass and getting our contacts out there and getting orders and that kind of fun stuff. And as we go through this book, there's more actionable content to take. He has one part where he asks that you go to the mall or a Starbucks or whatever and just lay down on the floor. That's all you do. It's just putting yourself out there in a super awkward situation and have people literally walk around you or over you, hopefully not on you, and just put yourself in a very embarrassing situation. I was listening to some guys the other day, and they were talking about how they went out to this bar one night, and the music was popping, everybody was having fun and drinking, but there was nobody dancing. And the two of them were like, what the fuck? This music is popping. Why is nobody dancing? So these two dudes started dancing. And next thing you know, the whole fucking place is dancing with them. So, as embarrassing as some things may be at first, the embarrassment will go away, and then you start having fun. And that's just putting yourself out there, whether it's making a phone call, being told no, whether it's going out and trying to show someone your work that you're doing, that you're proud of. You may be told, hey, that sucks. But as long as you are still happy about it, that's all that matters. But if you're told it sucks, you can ask, politely, what could you do differently to change it? Whatever. I'm just kind of going on here on a tangent, but you get the idea. So let's all kind of come together and conquer our fears and become successful and see really how we can take this and move forward. And until next time, this has been our Wise Guy Radio audiobook review of the Tim Ferriss 4-Hour Work Week. And don't forget, you guys can go to audibletrial.com/Wise Guy Radio, and that's WYZGUY radio.com, and you can download your 30-day free trial along with this audiobook for free just by signing up for a free trial at audibletrial.com/Wise Guy Radio. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying my transparency here as I share my trials and tribulations and the angst and the stress and anxiety that I'm going through and kind of been dealing with and getting past. I really am feeling a lot better. It's been probably about 4 days now since I had my little bit of a mental breakdown in a sense, because, in all reality, I did. Just being completely overwhelmed from all this shit that I was doing and not being able to stop and focus on it. And again, a lot of it stemmed because I was going away from all of it and working somewhere else and then coming back and the issues were still there. It's that whole idea is, some folks like to move away from their problems, and then when you want to come back and visit your family where you originally lived, those problems are still there. And you just got to take care of those problems, get rid of them, find a solution, whatever it is you got to do that's legal, and then you're done. And then you can move on and you have this sense of relief. So as much as I don't want to walk away from Disney, and again, I have already walked away in a sense, even though I'm part-time and seasonal, for now I'm going to be taking a hiatus probably for several months just to make sure I can be focused on other ventures that to me are more important to myself and to my family and also to you guys, because again, my passion for doing this podcast, I could do this every day. And talking with a guest I just had on today that we're actually going to be airing on Monday, we discussed the possibility of having a 7-day-a-week show of just doing a quick 5-minute snippet update of what's going on in the industry for that day. There's always some kind of drama, story, color drop, new product line, new tool, whatever. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe this will end up being a 7-day-a-week show. Even if it's just, like I said, a quick 5-minute Wise Guy Radio update. Who knows? But nonetheless, y'all, I'm going to get the hell out of here. Gotta go find some last-minute Halloween decorations for our party tomorrow night. Stay tuned. I am going to be putting out a Halloween show for Halloween. Just kind of a fun little background spooky noise, something just to say hi to you guys. And go from there with it. So don't forget to go to wiseguyradio.com, subscribe to our newsletter. I have just uploaded today, I put out in our newsletter, a way that you can get a little thank you goodie from me for doing a little something extra special, which takes about 5 minutes of your life. And the only way you would have gotten that information is by subscribing to the newsletter. So just go to wiseguyradio.com down below where it says subscribe, join the family, and put your email in there and then verify that it's your stuff. And we will get you guys on our news list, and then you'll start getting our updates, which is our weekly. And if not, I'm actually going to be putting out a newsletter with every podcast. And we actually have, coming up on Monday, I have a special guest coming on, a glass artist out of Washington, that has a little something special for you guys, too. So make sure you stay tuned, and that's at the very end of that episode. So listen all the way through it. Don't skip to the end just to hear it, because it's a pretty incredible talk. All right, y'all. Much love. Don't forget audibletrial.com/wiseguyradio. Go to greenflashglass.com. Get some badass glass in your hands or in your local shops. And we will see y'all next time on the Wise Guy Radio Show. Peace. It is said that at the very moment the sun sets below the horizon, a flash of green light appears called the Green Flash. This unique occurrence happens daily, but only seen by a few. Green Flash Glass chose this name to symbolically represent the unique beauty, simplicity, and good feeling experienced when using their product. Unique to the experience at sunset. Uniquely relaxing. greenflashglass.com. That was a quick break. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.